Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back with another episode of Christian Cringe, and this is a topic that you had proposed because you had what you described as the perfect guest for the conversation of Christian colleges. How about you introduce this perfect guest?
Well, this perfect guest is one of my former professors in English at Azusa Pacific University, no longer at Azusa Pacific University, but started a podcast in 2022 called Chapel Probation, which if you haven't checked it out yet, it's a really great listen, and it's all about deconstruction. So please, everybody, welcome Scott Okamoto.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm
Hey,
so
Scott.
excited. Yeah.
Great to see Katie. Any former student that still wants to talk to me is awesome.
One of my favorite things is that Scott was one of those professors that, like, every time I would, like, hint around cussing in a paper, he'd be like, just fucking go for it. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's just words.
Yeah, I heard yesterday, a person who I won't say any details, so I don't want to out them. But yeah, I did hear a person at the church that I work with drop fuck, and it was like, oh, okay, this is good to know. Like, this is like a door cracked open, and now I know.
Yeah.
Before we start, we have a little quiz. A questionnaire, a 10-question questionnaire.
Oh, no. Pop quiz?
Yeah.
Pop quiz to determine the level of Christian cringe you are. Now, here's the thing. You're talking to two people that are a perfect 100%. So don't feel bad if you also get to 100%, but also don't feel bad if you can't achieve 100%. It takes a lot.
I feel like he won't be 100%.
Do I want 100%? Are we shooting for 100%?
No, it's just answer truthfully, and we'll see how cringe you are.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives us a vibe on where we can go in the conversation sometimes. But question number 1, good and simple one. Have you ever identified as a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever attend youth group?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want details or does it matter?
We'll dive deeper.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Did you ever own a "What Would Jesus Do" shirt or bracelet?
No.
Oh,
I knew it.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so not 100%.
I'm old. They didn't have a lot of merch when I was growing up.
That's fair.
Well, to quote the great Derek Webb, they'll know we're Christians by the shirts we wear.
I had some Christian shirts that just didn't say that. So,
okay, we're going to take a quick pause. I'm trying to remember what it was specifically, but we had, when I was in youth group, we were talking about how there was the "What Would Jesus Do?" And then there was just like more and more things that were like abbreviations. So we tried to come up with the most ridiculous one. And I hope to God I can find this shirt. But we came up with platypus. and the shirt was a giant platypus across it that said, like, putting your love and trust in your eternal savior or something, or your ultimate savior or something. But it was like, it was definitely with the intention of like, this is dumb, right? Like, it's dumb that we're like doing this all the time.
Okay, but if you were wearing a platypus shirt, then I would say you're 1,000% Christian cringe.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, question 4. Did you ever declare in some way that you were saving yourself for marriage?
Oh my God, there's stories. Yes.
By the way, Scott also has a fun thing called the Horny Chapel provision, and it's also a very
Yeah,
good
tell
listen.
those stories there.
Yeah.
Did you have a strong opinion about a Christian band blowing up in the mainstream? This could be overly excited for their success or calling them sellouts.
Yeah, I was on the overly excited. That Striper was the #1 videos in the late 80s.
I mean, that's exciting. I remember being obviously a little bit younger, but I remember being excited when like POD showed up on TRL.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, they're on TRL.
Yeah, they were
This
cool.
is amazing.
Yeah.
They were.
All right. Have you ever asked somebody, how's your relationship with Jesus?
Probably not in so many words, but yeah, that was the routine, right? If you're getting together for coffee for accountability shit, it's like yeah.
Yeah, it's the accountability check-in.
So something linguistically equivalent to that, if not exactly that. Yeah.
Sure.
Did you ever have to participate in an awkward youth play in front of your church?
No, I was the worship
Ooh.
team guy, so
I'm
not. Does that count? Because I wasn't an actor. I wasn't.
No,
in
I
sketches.
do not. I do not think that counts. But it leads into the next question perfectly, which is: have you ever held up your hand while listening to worship music?
Okay, yeah, but I'll put an asterisk to this one. As a shy Asian kid, I was not into like big demonstrative worship and jumping up and down and doing like gymnastics and shit. So, if like the worship leader said, "Everybody put your hands up," I'd sort of like half-assed to it because I didn't feel comfortable. But
I feel like if
it.
you're the worship leader, you're almost required to put the hand up there to get the rest of the people
I could
doing
tell
it.
people to do it if I'm leading worship, but I didn't feel.
But the rest
Such
of the
a
hands just go to
hypocrite.
the instruments.
Yeah,
I'll say half. I'll say a half point on that one.
All right.
Did you try to convince a friend to listen to a Christian artist by saying they're as good, if not better, than a popular mainstream band?
Oh, I feel so.
I know.
so judged.
Don't feel judged. We're 100%. So
Yeah. Okay.
know where we're at.
Oh my God. Yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah,
so many times.
And then the final question, do you wake up some nights in a cold sweat remembering something you said or did when you were at your most religious?
Oh hell yeah! I even wrote about. I've written about it repeatedly on my Substack. So yeah, that's out there. Yeah.
All right, 75%. That's a C. That's
So I passed.
Yeah, you passed the test.
Passing cringe.
Or I was just lukewarm and spit out of the mouth of God. You know.
So I am really excited for this topic because I think I've told Katie this story, but when I was in high school, we would go on missions trips and we would always go to this place called SOS, Service Over Self, that was based in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh.
And I loved it down there. I became really good friends with most of the volunteer staff or whatever. And they had like a video production team that would like film all the work, and they would do daily videos recapping all the work sites. And I discovered that basically everybody who worked for Service Over Self went to a like Christian liberal arts college called Union University, which had like film classes and music classes and all that. So I got it in my head. That's the plan. Going to go to Union University, going to work for SOS, going to be a Christian filmmaker. Like that was like the game plan.
To make wholesome films. That honor God.
And make little money.
Well, I got accepted to Union University, but it was an out-of-state college, and my parents are like, we can't afford that.
Oh.
And I did that dumb, I think I know better than my parents move, where I thought, well, if I don't apply to any other colleges and don't get accepted anywhere else, they have to send me to this college. So that's what I did. And what ended up happening was I went to the local commuter campus for 4 years.
Yeah.
So I did not experience Christian college, but I'm excited for this
dodged a bullet.
conversation to.
Yeah,
That's
you
what I was
did.
gonna say. I'm curious to see if I will have regrets or pure joy that was not the path I went, because I think that when I started to pull away from Christianity, it was going to a commuter campus. It was going and seeing literally anybody else who wasn't a straight white person in life, and taking like religious studies courses and hearing about like how very similar so many of the other religions are, and kind of going, oh, we're really like we're really going all in on this story when it's basically the same, if not an amalgamation of like every other religion.
Yeah. So full disclosure, like, so Katie and I would have known each other when we were both. I was enacting Christianity. I was, if I wasn't already completely out of it at the time, I was on my way out.
You were on your way, yeah.
Yeah, you could probably tell. But yeah, so it's really funny talking to Katie now all these years later. What year did you graduate, Katie? Are you allowed to say?
I graduated 09.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
09, yeah.
So that would have been right at the beginning of when I decided I didn't believe in God anymore.
Yeah.
when your freshman year. And so it was like, I still knew how to do the talk and do all the things. But yeah, this is really cool to be reconnecting here in this context where we're like, okay, we don't have to pretend anymore.
Yeah.
No, and it's true. And I feel like my process of going through APU was kind of my unwinding of some of the religious stuff just being torn away and being like, ooh, this is not very helpful for my life.
Yeah.
And one of your class, your English class, was one of the ones that not only got me out of the bubble of APU, but also just mentally got me out of, like, we were the only class, I think, that were reading non-religious texts and doing reports and like talking about things like that. And we read River Runs Through It, and you took us fly fishing.
That's right.
And
yeah.
We got to just like hang out, and like it was so fun because I think it was just you, me, and your son, I think. And
were you one of the poor people the only one that
had
showed
like
up?
one. Yeah. But it was nice though. I mean, my dad thought that I was super into fly fishing after that, and then like got me a license and like all this stuff. And I was like, "Oh, thank you very much."
You haven't gone since, yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't gone since. I think I still have that pole somewhere.
Well, we can still go.
But it was such a, I mean, that may have been like the start of your transitioning out of it, but it was also sort of my time of like awakening to kind of the hypocrisy that was especially deeply ingrained within APU culture. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. All right. So we've cleared the last 20 years of and we can have this conversation. So yeah.
Well, but I think it's interesting to discuss because it's a topic that comes up a lot on this podcast, right? Is, one of our past guests has become a pretty loyal listener, which I absolutely love, which is Andy, the drummer from the band Five Iron Frenzy, listens to us every single week. And he's been on his own journey of, was in a Christian punk band, became an atheist, then kind of moved to agnostic, and now is just like a general open to any possibility spiritualist, I would say, is probably where he would identify the most now. And what I love about our podcast is that it kind of has space for anybody who's at any point of that spectrum, whether they're fully Christian, fully atheist, or somewhere in the middle where we're still trying to figure it out. And I think Katie and I, as we've been doing this show, even thought that that each other was on like two separate ends of the spectrum. Like, I think Katie thought I was like pretty full Christian. I thought you were pretty much full-blown atheist. Yeah. And now we're seeing like, no, we're both kind of in the like that weird dead center spiritual idea of like, I know that what I was raised on, I don't agree with, but I'm open to the possibility that there's something that just humanity has not cracked the code on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's the agnostic spectrum, right? It's
right.
Yeah. So if the Five Iron Frenzy dude is listening, So I work for Axis Mundi Media, which produces podcasts from academics that kind of push back against Christian nationalism. And the podcast series called American Idols by Dr. Andrew Whitehead, he asked me to create music based on his love of Five Iron Frenzy. So most of the music cues in American Idols, the podcast, is me. I had never heard of them because I kind of got out of Christian music in the 90s. Me doing a deep dive into Five Iron Frenzy and really digging it. That was a good band. And so I created all these music cues that were sort of based on that. So full circle.
They spent all of their time in punk clubs, like growing up with that punk rock attitude of like, you're supposed to question things, which is kind of the antithesis, especially in the 80s and 90s, of what church was telling you, which was like, never question it. You just take this for face value and don't second guess it, or you'll go to hell for second guessing it.
Right. Yeah. I think them and like David Bazan.
David Bazan's a good
is
one.
Another example. Maybe the later version of Amy Grant. But she got jettisoned from that world pretty quick. It's weird. Like, there's no more bands. There's no more Five Iron Frenzy. If you're a band in CCM, you're making worship music. It's the whole industry kind of just became worship music. And
it sucks because there was a point late 90s, early 2000s. You could go to even Creation Festival, which was still pretty worship heavy, but you would still have like a heavy metal stage and a punk rock stage, and those bands don't want to have anything tied to Christianity anymore, even if they identify as Christians. They're like, oh, no, thank you. No.
Yeah.
You can.
And Scott, we're talking to you, and for the listener, you've got like 6 or 7 guitars right behind you right now.
Yeah.
So,
and an electronic drum set I see back there.
Yeah, I suck at drums. I'm trying. Yeah. So I do all the music for Axis Mundi, and I'm in bands, but I'm trying to play drums so I don't have to look through loops to
get those
to make the cues.
Sure.
It's more fun that way too.
Yeah.
It's always fun to learn a new instrument. So let me ask these questions out the gate.
Yeah.
So when I went to college, I went to a commuter campus, so I've never experienced dorm life. So the only examples I have of dorm life was like 6 months when I dated someone who went to Drexel University. And it was pretty laid back. There was like stuff to do on campus.
Yeah.
There was like a live comedian. And I think more often than not, her and I would like go to random people's dorm rooms and like watch a movie until 2 a.m. How different would you say the dorm experience is if you're going to a Christian college? Or are most of the tenants there, it's just a little bit lamer, a little bit lamer of a variation of that?
Oh, man. Okay. So I didn't go to a Christian college for myself. So I only taught there. But I was privy to a lot of, and Katie can back me up on this. Like at APU, the boys' dorms was like a nude fest.
Yeah.
And I've done several episodes of Chapel Probation where we dig into this. And apparently it wasn't just APU. It was like evangelical colleges, boys' dorms, repressed young men who, with no outlet for their sexual identity, just wag their dicks and balls around as a sort of like the transfer.
I gotta say, one of my majors was a theater major, and there was not a single boy in the theater program that you could date as a woman, because they were all exploring with themselves, and I was happy for them.
Yeah.
But it was also like it was a wild time, because at least at the time that I went to APU, you couldn't come out unless you kicked out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so those were the actual kids who were exploring their sexuality. Mostly it was just repression. They were straight, but they have no outlet. So let's show how straight we are by spooning and grabbing each other's dicks in the showers. And
here's how heterosexual I am.
Yeah.
I can be really gay, and it doesn't turn me on.
Yeah. So there's that aspect that I did not see at a secular college. And you mentioned activities, like you, like me, went to a not a Christian school, and so there might be a lecture by a Nobel laureate or a politician or a scientist, Now at APU, you get like local pastors, you get like Christian celebrities who are telling you not to have sex, or don't be gay, or I used to be gay and now God healed me, quote unquote. So there are activities in the dorms. It's just they're all based on like controlling your behavior and getting you not to have sex or even think about sex. And then they talk about sex so much, and then they tell you not to think about it. It's kind of doesn't work. It's
So was there, because again, it seemed like there were absolutely no rules anytime that I was on a college dorm.
Yeah.
But like, was there curfew? Was there like a lights out curfew at a Christian college, I assume?
Yeah. Oh, the stories I heard, and I'm sure Katie could weigh in on this too, but like, yeah, I forget what the time was, like 10 o'clock or 11. Boys couldn't be in the girls' dorms, vice versa.
Yeah, I feel like.
Well, see, that was my next question: was were boys even allowed in the same dorms
Yeah,
as the
APU
girls? So
was
they were
liberal.
up to a certain time.
Because there are schools that never allow people of the opposite sex in the dorm, or they have like you can have Wednesday night from 6 to 8, and that's because
in a common area.
yeah, or you could go into the rooms, but the door had to be open, both feet have to be on the floor. There's all these rules, like which really just invites creative sex, I think.
That's
but,
I was like that's what made it more creative, and it was just like then it's just on display.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you can have
Challenge
both feet on the
accepted.
floor. Yeah.
Well, that's like I've heard a radio DJ say this once before, but he talked about like the words that you're not allowed to say in radio,
right.
and he was like, you know what happens when I'm not allowed to say like asshole on radio is that I come up with a new word that is probably way more disgusting than if you had just let me say asshole in the first place. Okay, there's that. That's interesting. Didn't know that.
So you missed out on a ton of male nudity. Is really
missed
the main
out on.
thing.
It sounds like I missed out on male nudity and rules.
Yeah.
Every college student's favorite thing, rules.
Well,
So-
I mean, that was really what Christian college really was just like rules that like some people tried to bend in creative ways and rules that some people took very literally.
Oh yeah.
And there like it reached the gambit too. But like I'm more curious how many chapels and things. Like I mean, I know you're a musician. We had big campus wide, like we had to go 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
And if you missed, you would be on chapel probation.
Yeah. It's the inside
Where you'd
joke of my podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I love that you call everybody who listens a reprobate. I'm curious about like what your thoughts were on like the music and like the worship
Oh, God,
team
yeah.
and stuff, because that was really more of the culture.
Oh yeah, it's full CCM, right? I didn't have to go to chapel. I went a couple times, mostly out of protests. I would go and hear what Francis Chan, what stupid shit he was going to say. So
Nice.
And if one of my colleagues was talking, they sometimes let the professors talk. I talked in chapel once, so I didn't have to go, but I knew of the music and I knew I could hear it outside when I was walking by, and I was always glad I didn't have to be in there. Yeah, the music, so worship music got really serious right in the 2000s. Like you had to try out. You couldn't just have a good heart and play 3 chords like when I was growing up.
Right.
You had to be like a music major and audition, and they took that seriously. Now, interestingly, they were all
I was
like
gonna
the
say,
bad kids, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there was this weird moment where, I mean, I never was big on worship music, even when I was at my most religious, because it was, the whole conceit of worship music is like you have to build something that anybody can pick up the guitar and play it, and like anybody can join in. It has to be like as simplistic as possible. In like the very late 90s into the early 2000s, there was like a little bit of a shift, and I want to credit it to maybe like David Crowder. Like there were these like music nerds who started becoming worship leaders that were like, no, but we can do it in crazy time signatures and have like a prog
interesting
rock
chords.
ethos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but which was great as a listener, but then it also, like you said, now it's not just like that feel good, hey, we're just all here singing a song together. You have to be a trained professional to be able to go up there and and lead. And I don't know, anytime that there is like, I mean, this is the problem with church in general. It's the same thing with dogma. But as soon as there's like a million different points that need to be achieved in order to access a specific element of something, it's not great. You know what I mean? Like it should be at its core, Christianity should just be like there's a heart in everybody, there's a song in everybody's heart, and anybody can join along. But I think of like to make a TV show reference, it turned into that like Community episode where they're in the Glee Club and they're doing anything that they can not to let Britta sing.
Right.
it's like no, we can't have Britta up here. She'll ruin it, and then we won't go.
Yeah.
We won't go
We'll
to
go to
nationals.
regionals.
Yeah, we won't go to regionals.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So like 2 thoughts on everything you just said. Yeah, totally. And even with the new music and, flat 7 and flat 9 and add 2 chords,
yeah.
there were still like these songs that just repeated the same line over and over.
Yeah.
So the lyrics didn't necessarily get better or and often were just theologically, incorrect.
Yeah.
And second was optics became just as important as the music and singing. So you had to have generally a white guy leading. Women were not allowed to lead at APU for the longest time. I don't even know.
Long time.
Yeah. And you had to have like one black person, sometimes an Asian or Hispanic, but there always had to at least be one black person, who could sing. And you had to be pretty, there was a look to worship teams, right? It's like casting for a sitcom. These are all just regular people, and they all look like models, right? It's like the pimply faced 400-pound kid was not going to make it on the worship team, no matter what his chops were or how good he could sing. It was really kind of insidious how it mirrored sort of Hollywood's standards of appearance and presentation.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I really got from APU was sort of the duality of what Hollywood standards were. Like it really, in a weird way, not in the right way, but it did prepare me for Hollywood.
Yeah. Silver lining there.
Here it is, guys. Welcome to my hometown's video store.
Sweet, I didn't even know these still existed.
Well, they haven't had a new release since like 2004, but it's still standing. Why don't you guys look around and rent something? It's on me.
Okay, I'm done.
What?
I got the best of 1987, RoboCop, Lethal Weapon, and Predator.
Predator's good, but Predator 2 is better.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, all those old action films, the sequels are better. RoboCop 2, Predator 2, Highlander 2.
Can't argue with Highlander 2.
Do they have any anime?
Yep, if you look, it's right over there.
That's like 5 tapes.
Yeah, welcome to the Midwest.
Steve, what are you renting?
I'll probably rent some bad sci-fi. Maybe something with Will Smith.
Nice. Get some Tim Burton Planet of the Apes while you're at it.
Isn't that the one where you wanted to bang the girl monkey?
Welcome to Analog Jones in the Temple of Film. I'm Steve.
I'm Chris.
I'm Brad.
We are a VHS podcast that breaks down the box art, trailers, and behind the scenes. Do you miss the old days before the internet when you only talked about the films you watched with your friends? We watch these old tapes and look for cool trailers, bizarre promos, and break them down for your entertainment.
If you like sweaty action movies, crappy sci-fi, or schlocky horror films and hate reading, listen to Analog Jones.
Sometimes we even do research and get our facts right on these old movies.
Even if we don't, it's on the internet. It's facts now.
So search for Analog Jones and find us at anything that plays podcasts.
What was that like for you being at APU and like kind of going through this transitional period of your own thought process?
And I want to jump on top of that for the answer, but was there also anything that you can pinpoint as like the starting spark of you going, I don't know about this?
Yeah, the spark was, well, I came into APU already as like a progressive Christian, figuring it's a university, I'll find a place, and quickly realizing, no, there's no place for, being inclusive to queer kids. There's no social justice. We're not supposed to talk about racism. And so it was like, oh, okay, so this doesn't fit. And I think it was the 2004 elections when the campus really sold out for the Republicans.
Yeah.
It was like literally my students were saying a vote for Bush was a vote for God. And just theologically, I had a huge problem with that as a Christian. And I realized Christianity was shifting away from me. So it wasn't anything necessarily, just APU just happened to be this like crucible of all these things, these changes in Christian culture that were happening. And so I don't blame APU specifically, but certainly the culture that it reflected had a huge impact on me, not wanting to be a part of it. So I'll just be a Christian outside of this. And then I don't know, once that happened, it just sort of all just fell apart. It was like, I don't really want to be any of this anymore.
Well, thankfully, 2004 was the only time that Christians aligned themselves, saying that the voting for the Republican Party
they got
was
better
a vote
after
for
that.
God.
It's so
way
much
better.
better now.
Knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. Well, Katie was there at a flashpoint when in 2008. Then
Yes.
that was the most hilarious day on campus. The day after the election, people were crying and like praying on the Cougar Walk, and just the world was ending.
Yeah, and I know Janae and I, one of a former guest of the podcast, Janae Thompson, who is incredible. She was part of the handbasket crew. We were the ones that would go out on Cougar Walk and say we were going to hell in a handbasket because of our ideas and stuff. She and I remember we would like walk through Cougar Walk, and it was just like people almost like gnashing of teeth, very biblical, and it was so funny because everyone in the theater department was just ecstatic.
Right. There are little pockets, right, around
Yeah.
campus. The MEP, the theater kids, the music department, probably.
Some of the music department, the
not
ones that
all.
weren't. Big music department, music and
The professors
nursing.
weren't, but
Yeah, what was that like? What was the whole climate around all of the professors during 08?
yeah. So there were a lot of people who were happy but had to pretend like they weren't, because there was a pressure to conform to the party line, right? And so my colleagues, we would have these like furtive like nods, like secret like little thumbs up, like yay, okay, shh, okay. Had to act like we went. Actually, I didn't do a good job. I was thrilled. I was like, this is a huge step for America, and y'all are missing out. My students took it as a license to be racist and tell black jokes and use the N-word because Obama was president now, and so it was funny, but it was also really depressing because it really pulled away the curtain to say these are who these kids are, and they're crazy racists who have drank the Kool-Aid. I'll say this: my colleagues, the professors, were no different. There were professors using the N-word and telling black jokes and saying completely racist, horrible things in the aftermath of Obama's election. And so, top to bottom, administrators,
Was that also kind of a linchpin moment for you to be like, I don't think I should be here?
Yeah, I was already mentally out. But also, I thought I could have a career there because I knew there were. You probably knew some of the other professors who were, the liberals, the progressives, and we all kind of banded together and said, "There's a place for us here." We all disagreed on. We didn't all agree on the same theologies or denominational things, but we felt like helping kids be better Christians who weren't racist, who weren't homophobic, who weren't misogynist. Was a good calling, and I would have stayed a lot longer than I did, but if they were going to fire me because of my work with the queer kids. So I felt good every day because I wasn't telling them not to be Christian. I was just showing them a different kind of Christianity, which is the last Christianity that I identified with. And I thought that felt good because mostly, it's an accredited school. I don't know how the hell they are an accredited school, but they are. And I was teaching English. 99% of what I was doing was just teaching literature and writing. So I felt good about that. And then the whole faith integration stuff they asked me to do was easy. Here's what Jesus said, and here's what y'all are saying on Fox News. Do we see the difference? do we see?
Can we compare and contrast?
Yeah.
Well, that raises a question for me, right? Because again, I went to just a regular secular college, so we read the books that you are supposed to read in a college English class.
Yeah.
Like, was there? So let me use this for comparative sake. When I was in high school, my English teacher, who I'm still very good friends with and I work on projects with all these years later, got in a ton of trouble with the school board because he decided to have the kids read Perks of Being a Wallflower instead of Catcher in the Rye. because his thought process was it's basically the same story and they're going to connect and understand the material better with Perks of Being a Wallflower. And it was very much a like, how dare you, step away from the sacred text that is
the canon.
Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
So was it similar to that where there was a very strict path of the books that you were allowed to teach, and like were you allowed to teach books written by people who weren't Christian at all, or was that like the most taboo thing to suggest?
Oh yeah, to keep accreditation, they wouldn't have been able to restrict reading. Now that said, there were departments that did. I was in the English department, and my boss had 2 different chairs during my time there, and they were both like, assign whatever you want. Yeah. They believed in this sort of something called incarnational truth of, truth is truth. All truth is God breathed. If you can show truth through whatever, great. Maybe don't make them read Satan books, but
unless they have truth in them.
Yeah. Even then, they might be like, maybe
That's
pick
fair.
another. But so I had support from my department, but I do know there were notes on me with the school board. Or the board of directors of the school had a file on me as someone to watch and keep an eye on. In fact, board members made up this program of board members visiting classes just to see what's going on, and like 3 different board members visited my intro to literature class to sit in on the lecture. And I asked my colleagues of like, oh yeah, so have you gotten that visit from the board? They're like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
Like, so it was just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Now, what did that, Katie, for you, how did that translate into like doing theater? Was there limitations on the types of theater stuff that would be done at the school?
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was so much music, man. We didn't even get to do Shakespeare the time I was there, which
I was going to ask if you were there for that.
I was there because they had a director that I guess did a Shakespeare show and then like kind of ruined everyone mentally. And so they just cut Shakespeare from the program, which is hilarious because that happened in my middle school, in my high school, and then in my college. Like sequentially, like every single level of education I had.
So it's your fault.
Yeah.
What's the common denominator here? It's Katie.
I'm the harbinger of Shakespeare. But I found my ways. Like I went and took like Shakespeare classes from the English department because they were good and they were taught very well. During the time that I was there, the head of the department,
I don't think he's there anymore. So I think
he's not.
Okay, yeah.
And he's finally out and proud and
I have a story about that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I have so many questions. But yeah, I mean, this was a man who was very outwardly appearing gay, and so I was like, great, what a great college to be able to he's the one that's in charge of all the musicals because every note he would give was, I liked it, I loved it, it was better than Cats, I could see it again and again. Okay, next. So old hat Hollywood type of gaming. But he had this gorgeous, beautiful wife and 2 beautiful blonde kids. And I was like, oh, okay. And the more I got to know him, the more I was like, this feels weird. And it wasn't until after college that he finally came out, and then he and his wife, unfortunately got divorced, but also fortunately he got to be with his now husband, I believe.
That's so cool. I didn't know he got married. Yeah.
I think he did. Yeah. And he seems to be doing really well and like doing musical theater around Southern California. But there was another professor in the theater department who was very Republican and wrote some very interesting personal plays that people had to take out on what was called DMT, Drama Missionary Team. And I was a part of it for a little bit, but then really did not like the people who were a part of that. I was also placed on what I later found out to be a gay witch hunt list because I associated with my roommate in college fell in love with our other roommate, and they ended up getting married. Oh. And then I also was friends with formerly Mallory Ortberg, now Daniel Ortberg. Mm-hmm. And I was apparently a part of this list of like who to watch. Yeah. In terms of cool.
We were on probably the same list.
Okay, so you were on it too, because you were also hanging out with like Joanna Chase and all these like really incredible artists that were a part of the school who were finding their own community.
Yeah, same exact story as you. My first full faculty meeting, I was sitting next to none other than Bart, and I thought, oh shit, this is a cool school. They hired an openly gay man, so this is going to be great. And so I was in conversation with some of my other colleagues as I got to know them, and I'm like, it's just amazing. They have a gay. Oh, he's not gay. He's married. He has kids. I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah, it doesn't quite make sense when you meet him.
What? Doesn't compute. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then I just felt sad. Like, oh my god, like just. Because that was the thing. Like, there was another professor in the math department who gave the talk every year in chapel. Like, I used to be gay, and God healed me.
Right.
And that was the take of the faculty. You're supposed to believe that being gay is some kind of illness you can cure, which is okay. If you're an 18-year-old and believe that, it's one thing. But if you have a PhD in something and you believe that shit, it's like, what is wrong with you? Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how pervasive that ideology was until it was, I think, my sophomore year when my two roommates fell in love with each other and they came out to me. And luckily at the time, I was going to the Groundlings and I was taking classes there.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah. I got into the program and was trying to advance up. And I remember one of my roommates came out to me and I was like so shocked. I didn't know what to do that I went to one of my friends at the Groundlings before we had class. I was like, yeah, my roommate just came out to me and I'm not really sure. And he said, how beautiful that she trusted you enough to tell you and keep that secret with you. And I was like, oh my God. And like my whole worldview just completely changed where I was like, oh yeah, like it's not my responsibility to out them. Like it's my responsibility to keep that secret because that they trusted me with that. And that would get them kicked out of school if anybody knew. That's
beautiful.
It's really interesting because you know me, Katie, I'm like Mr. Positivity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, it is awful that these were some of your college experiences, but simultaneously, how many amazing friends did you still make that you wouldn't have made had you not done that decision? And it got you out to LA and it got you into the Groundlings. But like, I'm also looking at through the lens of my college experience where I'm pretty sure my freshman year I was the only straight person in my circle of friends. Like, and it was just like totally accept it and fine. And it was like never did it even become a question for any of us. And that was just like how we do, like you'd just be playing ultimate Frisbee on the lawn and someone would come out to you. Like it was such a different experience that and so much Shakespeare, performed Shakespeare like 8 times for theater. But like I don't know. It does sound like I certainly dodged many a bullet, but I also see the friendships that you have with some of the people that you met in school, or the fact that you're literally doing a podcast with one of your professors that you met that you decide to stay in touch with for 20 something years. Yeah. So like,
that was the coolest part about it all is that like Scott, you were one of the people that like I could tell were more progressive and like a little bit more open-minded, which was wild to me to think that like my English professor was more liberal than my drama teachers.
Yeah.
Who were asking us to pray before we went on stage. And meanwhile, so in answer to your question, Matt, from a while ago, we weren't allowed to do a lot of different plays. We did The Music Man so many times.
I guess you had to stay as G-rated as possible. Like, were you even allowed to curse in the plays? Or I would assume no.
No, but they did want to do The Sound of Music with full-on Nazi flags for some reason. They bought those.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the Republican Party. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
There's Nazi stories, too, from that era. But yeah.
Oh, gee.
You remember the car incident? I don't know.
Which one?
Yeah, there was a couple. after 2008 election, someone was drawing swastikas on black students' cars. And then one kid, as a joke, someone put a swastika and a Confederate flag on his car, and he just drove to school like every day. They thought it was funny, so they would just drive onto campus. And for a week before they were asked to, can you take that down? It led to a whole town hall meeting with the president to talk about, you know what? This is emblematic of the school. Y'all are fine with racism. Oh, yeah. And so so swastikas in the theater department, in the parking lot. Not surprising.
Oh my God.
It's
yeah.
psychotic.
It is psychotic. Well, and I remember while we were doing The Music Man, I was playing the mayor's wife, and there's a joke within the script where like they're talking about all of the like things that are in the library, like the different authors and things like that. And then the mayor's wife says like, this author, that author, and then this other one, Balzac. I mean, it's like the joke is there. It's Balzac. And I kept saying it, and I kept getting this sweet woman coming back with notes from Bart every night, just being like, okay, so it's sounding like you're saying something else. Could you just say Balzac? I was like, really? How am I saying it?
What
like,
am I saying?
That's my one pushback. Like, I was like, I don't understand.
Just saying his name.
Saying the name, I'm saying it as intended for the show. And it like there was little rebellions like that, I feel like, that we would do, at least in the theater department. But it was wild how accepting at least like the liberal side of the arts were for these very conservative and very distancing and horrible things.
Yeah, for sure. At one point near the end of my time, one of the deans hired a writer. I forget his name, but he was really into like eugenics.
Oh my God! What?
And he was going to come and talk about teenagers or something innocent, but like we got wind of it, and like most people are like, can we not invite someone like this to speak at APU? And they're like, no, what's the problem? He's not even going to talk about that.
I don't. Wow, it's interesting too. Like being someone who is very academic and very educated, and seeing
despite
how
APU.
Yeah, despite APU, and I think that similarly, like I still, I'm a NPR subscriber, but it's I find it so interesting, like how much of the curriculum and things were tainted in a way with this. I remember so psychology was my other major, and I remember I had a textbook that said that period cramps in women were made up in their mind, and that was the kind of stuff that they were teaching in my psychology class, and I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting a picture here.
Yeah.
I think you should. Well, but like that's also, I think, what did crack open the idea that I should be questioning more, and I should even be questioning the people who are said to be my teachers, and I'm spending a lot of money to pay to be my teachers. But like, in order to challenge that kind of ideology, I had to be in a place that I was like, whoa, that doesn't ring true.
Is it an improvement to say that period cramps are in your mind? Oh, because I think the Christian line is that it's because women ate the apple and screwed things up for all of humanity. So
it is a little progressive.
That helps. That's an improvement, right?
Yeah.
I see we have another person who sees the glass half full on this call.
Why are you so negative, Katie?
Sorry, that's my bad.
Debbie Downer here, like. And Matt, to your earlier point, so you're correct in that we form a bond when we come out of this and we escape it, not just physically escape, but like mentally, spiritually escape it. And so, like, if someone tells me they went to one of these schools, not just APU, but like these Christian schools, I feel like we who have been there, and I was there for a long time. Students get to leave in 4 years. I was there for 15 years. it leaves a mark, and so it might be the mark of the beast. I don't know, but it's and there's
A mark is a mark.
yeah, but there's an understanding that we've been through some shit, and we understand what it took to get out and find some kind of vibrant life outside of that. And so when you meet people like Katie and I met each other, but like even when I meet people who I'd never met before and they tell me about that they went to one of these schools, I feel like we're starting off with a lot of understanding about where we're coming from.
Yeah.
For better or for
Yeah,
worse.
that makes sense.
It's a lot of worse, but it's cool that we can have that connection.
But it's
Well,
also it helps me to hear that like you realize that you dodged a bullet by not going to a Christian college, because
we affirm you in
I
that.
do. Yeah. And I feel like you've gotten more of a real world and even more of a film experience.
Oh yeah. Oh, I never truly doubted that it was the right decision.
Yeah. So there's no actual
Fair.
FOMO here. It's like
but like understanding all of the things that because there is that part where it's like, man, I wish I had the dorm experience. You know what I mean? But it's like, would I have even truly gotten the dorm experience at the Christian college? Truly, like as a person who's a youth,
a lot of dicks and
well,
balls.
but that's the thing. Like as like a person who's like a youth leader, when the first group of kids graduated and went to college, since all of them stayed fairly local, I did at least one visitation to see all of them in college, just to be like, hey, how's it going? And like we found a good place to grab food and catch up. And in all three cases, they gave me, a tour of what their dorm was like. And that was when I had FOMO. Yeah. I was like, my God, like I remember the one girl was showing me pictures of her dorm room because the beds went so high that she built a study room underneath her bed. Mm-hmm. And like, I think I still have the pictures because she hung like Christmas lights under there and she had like a pillow for it. And I was like, I'm almost 40 and I want that in my bedroom.
It's not too late, Matt.
It's really not.
Like, I just have to elevate my bed higher. But like the idea that I could just like go somewhere.
Yeah, get this man some risers.
This was a very educational experience. Yeah. And Scott, I think that if people want even more experience being educated on things in the Christian college world, that there's a podcast for that.
Yeah, it's called Chapel Probation. It just launched the 5th season, and I've been in talks with Katie to come on and talk about her experience more specifically. So we started off as just an APU podcast, and then people were messaging me all over the place saying, "Can I talk about Bob Jones or Wheaton?" And so
you said no.
Yeah, I was like, no, screw you guys. It expanded and it just grew, and so now I get messages from like professors and students who are like leaders in these Christian colleges. They like secretly listen to Chapel Probation, in their closets with their headphones. So it's really cool to be able to let people, and these are people by and large with no platform. They're not trying to promote anything. I mean, I talked to a couple people with books or other podcasts, but my favorite episodes are just the people who they've gone on and they've made this life, but they want to sort of unpack what they went through. And we learn a lot. I've learned a ton. First of all, I've learned that there's way more Christian schools than I thought were in this world. Yeah. I'd say half of the episodes, someone will say, I went to this school. I'm like, what is that? I don't know. I've never heard of that. And yeah, I thought maybe there was a few in each state, but apparently there's like millions or trillions of these schools. And so, yeah, keep them coming. It's a fun thing. And then we did Katie mentioned we did a spinoff of talking about purity culture called The Horny Chapel. My friend she has a podcast called Two Horny Goats. It's like this millennial out in the world surviving podcast. And, and I'm Chapel Probation, so we just put the names together because that works. Horny Chapel. And so we talk about purity culture and sort of how to figure out how to be more sex positive in the aftermath of these repressive upbringings. So, yeah, and I wrote a book about, if you're interested in hearing more about my experience at APU specifically, I wrote a book called Asian American Apostate. And the cover looks like a Bible, like a Gideon Bible you find in the hotel.
It's great. Highly recommend getting that.
Oh, good. Yeah, so you've seen it. Yeah, it's my whole story of like what the hell happened and all the shenanigans we got into, fighting against this repressive administration. It's like Hunger Games without anyone dying.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.